guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd just do an end of year Q&A just to kind of summarise everything and answer any questions you might have. Before we get started though, I just wanted to say, Hubble, are you licking your butthole? Before we get started though, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to anyone that donated to my birthday GoFundMe to raise money for Bird Hearts Rescue, both with the donations on the GoFundMe and also all of the ad revenue from you guys watching that video over and over again. We raised so much money. I think in total it was about 1,500, which is amazing. What on earth are you doing? So all of the money that we raised has now been directly donated to them via PayPal, which is good, and that can now start making a massive difference to their current residents, whether it's the rabbits, rats, mice, hamsters, or anything they have to rescue in the future. That money is going to make such a difference, so thank you to anyone that donated. I think all of the rats that I mentioned in that video have now been captured, and some of them have started to go to new homes, which is great. So moving on to the questions, I think I'll start with the ones that I was asked over on Instagram, and the first one is the most common one that I got across the board, and that is, do you have any plans for new animals next year? So the answer to this is probably going to be a bit disappointing and a bit boring, but I don't have any solid plans to get any new pets within 2021. Maybe something will pop up and I'll have space and time to get something else, but at the moment I don't have any solid plans for anything that I don't already have. I will probably get new rats or new mice at some point within the next year or so, because that's just the way it works with rats and mice and social animals. You have to keep the group going, so that will probably happen within the next year. But in terms of anything that I don't already have, I don't have any solid plans at the moment. The next question is, what car do you have? I have a Smart 42. I'll put a picture on screen of what my car looks like. I know some people absolutely hate smart cars, but for me it gives me a sense of freedom because I struggled a lot with driving. I have really bad spatial awareness and coordination issues. I don't know if you can tell that from watching my videos, but having a really tiny car helps me to not hit the curb and to just get into spaces easier. So I love my car, it gets me where I need to be, and that's the main thing. The next question is, what is the highlight of your year? So I think it goes without saying, the absolute highlight of my year, probably even the highlight of my life, is getting this guy. I've wanted a cat for over 11 years and I've finally got one this year in 2020, and he's everything I could have hoped from a cat. He's my best friend and he really wants to go back to sleep. But yes, getting Hubble has definitely been the highlight of a very strange, weird, unusual year. He has definitely made this so much easier and so much better, so definitely getting Hubble. Oh, this is a really interesting question. It says, which group of rats has been my favourite to own? And although I loved my first rats so much, because them being my first ever rats makes them very, very special, I think because I only had Scampy for about a year, I never really had as much time with him as I would have liked. So I don't think the first two rats, Scampy and Rolo, were my favourite group. I think the group after that one, which was Rolo and then the two younger rats, Sunday and Sprout, I think that was my favourite group. Obviously nothing against all of the groups I've had since then or all of the groups I have at the moment, but I just think those rats were such well-rounded, well-behaved rats. I never had any issues with them, with their health really, until they were very, very old, or even with their behaviour. They were just really, really good rats, and I miss all three of them so much. I feel like I had such a strong bond with each of them individually, and Rolo, you guys know if you've been watching for a long time, he was my heart rat, and I don't think I'll ever have as much of a close bond with another rat as I did with him, and I think it's probably about time I stopped looking for that in other rats, just because he was just so special to me. So I think that would be my favourite group, just because all of them were such good rats, and obviously all of my rats right now are really good, but they do cause me some drama sometimes, so I think those three would have to be my favourite group combination. The next question is there anything exciting happening next year? And yes, there is. So we are actually moving. We've actually bought our first house together, which is super exciting and also low-key quite terrifying. The whole process of it just mind boggles me, but I'm not going to think about it too much because it is quite terrifying, the whole process of it all. But we are actually moving next year, which I'm really excited for. We've definitely outgrown this house and I'm feeling quite claustrophobic at this point, so I'm really excited to have a bit more space for us, but also more space for the pets and for Hubble to run around. I think that's going to be really good for him, so I'm really excited to move and have a slightly bigger space, and maybe I'll make a video talking about my plans more in depth with the pets, the pet room, and also in terms of my business. I'm going to have more space to work on things with my website and my store. So if you want a video talking about that and giving you guys a run through of what I'm kind of thinking, let me know in the comments and I'll try and do that for you sometime in the new year. The next question is, what is your opinion on bioactive rat cages? I've not really looked into this enough to give you some solid facts, and it's not really something that I know enough about to do myself. I'd have to do a lot more research just to make sure that it would be truly and fully bioactive, because I do see a lot of rat cages that have the soil or the cocoa soil in the bottom, which is super enriching for them and does allow them to burrow and dig, which I think is one of the best things you can do for your rats, is giving them that really deep layer of substrate. So for that reason I really enjoy seeing these types of setups, but I do wonder if they are fully bioactive, just because a lot of people I see using only springtails. These are quite good for things like mould in the enclosure and the soil, but I'm not too sure if they could fully handle the bioload and the waste produced by rats. Rats produce a lot of poop, a lot of ammonia, and I'm not too sure if just springtails by themselves could handle this. For that reason I think you would need a much more intensive cleanup crew, not only with these springtails but also adding in things like isopods. You'd need probably a lot of isopods to handle all of the waste produced by rats, and I'm not too sure if this would ever be fully bioactive. There must be some people making it work and making it so that you don't have to empty out the soil once a month or every few months. There must be people making this work, but I would have to do a lot more research into this if I was to consider doing it myself. The next question is, any 2021 goals? My obviously main goal is getting this house situation sorted. Also I really want to work on my website, which is bogglebuddies.com. I really want to try to transform this into not only a store but also a place where you can go for information on rat care or mouse care. I think adding a care section would be really cool, and I just want to work on the store in general. I want to expand how many products I can stock and just have a larger place to store everything. I really want to work on my store next year and just keep adding things. I think that would be really fun. So that's really my only 2021 goal, is just to work on my store and my website, and obviously move house and have more space to do that. The next question is, how are you doing? Truly, thank you so much for asking. I'm doing better than I was a couple of weeks ago. Obviously I still have days where I'm in a lot of pain, and I just get so frustrated because I've got so many things I want to do and I've got so many video ideas, but I just can't always push through it, which is so frustrating. But I've got an appointment in the new year to hopefully, fingers crossed, give me some sort of diagnosis or lead me further towards getting a diagnosis and sorting out why I'm in so much pain all the time. So I'm doing better than I was a couple of weeks ago. Still not 100%, still not great, but I'm here, I'm trying, I'm pushing through it, and hopefully I won't be miserable and in pain forever. I love this next question. It's, what type of animal would your demon be from His Dark Materials? So I love the His Dark Materials series, both the book series and also they recently did a TV series which I'm obsessed with, and when I was younger I also read the books when I was younger, and I always pictured having my demon run alongside me. I don't know if anyone else did this when they were a kid. Instead of having a human imaginary friend, mine were all various different forms of animals, and mostly they're always a cat, which is very fitting. So I think my demon would probably be some sort of cat, some sort of form of cat, although I am quite drawn to water, so maybe like a fishing cat or something, or like a red panda, because they are also really clumsy and sleep a lot, which is currently my current state after eating all of the Christmas food. So maybe a red panda or a fishing cat, one of those. I also got so many questions about when the mouse merch is coming. I promise you I am just as impatient at this point for it to come out. I ordered the pins back in summer, I think, and they should have arrived in October and November. In fact, they did arrive and I was really excited to launch them, but they were all completely wrong. I could not sell them. They were not at all the colours that I ordered, so those are now being remade and should have been sent to me a couple of weeks ago, but they're not here, so I really honestly don't know. I'm kind of as much in the dark as you are at this point, and I was really hoping they would have been released a few months ago, and I can't really put all of the merch on the Teespring store because I've already paid hundreds and hundreds to have these mouse pins, and I don't want to not release them to start with because I've already kind of put my money into that, if that makes sense. So I'm waiting for these pins to turn up. Hopefully they turn up sometime soon, but at this point I have no idea, just like the rest of you, and it is incredibly frustrating. So as soon as I know, as soon as they arrive, they will be on the store, and I'll either make a video or post on Instagram or on the community tab section bit, but honestly I don't know. The next question is, how do you react when people are grossed out about your rats or mice? I know it's so frustrating when people naturally think they are gross. So I've kind of just got to a point in my life where I don't really have time for that kind of person with that kind of mindset. I don't mind if a stranger is naturally curious and they kind of say, oh, you have rats and mice as a pet, that's different, or I didn't know you could keep them as pets. Are they like wild rats and mice? Do they carry diseases? If they're naturally curious, I don't mind answering questions, but if straight away they're instantly negative and they're like, oh, I'd never come to your house, or oh, that's really disgusting, you should kill them all, or whatever. I've had that in the past. I don't have time for that kind of person that is instantly straight away negative and isn't open to new ideas and thoughts, because if they're like that with a pet, with the rats and mice, they're probably like that about other topics as well. So I don't have the time for that kind of person, especially a stranger. If you're not already in my life, then you don't need to be in my life. And if it comes from someone that's a friend or a family member, you kind of just have to grit your teeth and just ignore them and just accept that that's the kind of person they are. And it's not a reflection on you or your pets. But I do understand that it is incredibly frustrating and so annoying, but I just don't have the time of day for that kind of person. Someone wants to know what my history is with dogs, aka dogs that I've had in the past. So I've always grown up around dogs. We've always had dogs in the family. Our first family dog was a corgi called Molly, and then we had a Dalmatian called Meg, and then we have my current family dog who is a Cavapoo called Casper. So we have also worked with lots of dogs with pet sitting and dog walking. Also, we did foster a few dogs last year. I think I made a video on all 3 of them, which I'll leave linked in the description if I can find those. You guys can watch those if you want to, but I don't foster dogs anymore just because of the situation. The house is a bit too small really to do that kind of thing, and also we are attached to neighbours, which doesn't really work very well with dogs that have a lot of anxiety and they tend to bark or howl in the middle of the night. It just wasn't really working out, so maybe I'll foster dogs or cats again in the future, but I would love to have a dog of my own. That would definitely be when we have a bit more space, because the kind of dog that I would like and the kind of breeds of dogs that I'm interested in would be larger breeds of dogs that wouldn't really be suitable for this house long term. So I'm waiting very patiently for the day that I can have a dog of my own. The next question is, what is your opinion on owning African softwood rats as pets? Are they a good breed of rat to have? So African softwood rats, despite the name, are not actually rats. They are their own separate species of rodents, and they are called multi-mammoths. I've never actually said that word out loud, so I'm not too sure if that's how you pronounce it, but they are not a breed or a type of rat. They are their own separate species, and from what I've heard and what I've gathered from research, they don't really make the best pet. Of course, this all depends on what you're looking for in a pet. If you don't mind having a pet that's more of an observation pet to watch and not directly interact with, I think they could still make a good pet for some people. But if you're used to fancy mice and fancy rats, being able to handle them and interact with them, I don't think you're going to get the same level of interaction from these, just because they're not really selectively bred to have good temperament, probably not even to have good health, just because they are primarily mostly bred to be feeders and to be feeders for reptiles and snakes. So because of this, less work has gone into domesticating them, and there's not really that many good breeders out there breeding them to have nice, friendly personalities. So unless you're looking for a pet that's going to be more of an observation pet and you don't have to handle them, I've heard they can be quite bitey and it can be quite painful, so I wouldn't really recommend them as a pet for everyone. But of course, if you want to give it a try, you can do that, but don't expect them to be anywhere like rats or mice, although they do have very similar care requirements to fancy mice. I think temperament wise they can be quite difficult, and I wouldn't suggest them for a first time owner. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sending in all of your questions. This is going to be the last proper video of the year. I'm going to try to do an Emiology rewind with a recap of everything that's happened this year, but this is it for my proper videos. I'll see you guys in the new year. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm sure you already are, but just in case you're not. And I'll see you guys in the new year and my next video. Bye! Say bye, friends. Say bye, friends. Oh, you're giving me kisses. Thank you. Oh.